Welcome back, everyone. So, today we're jumping right into a really fascinating explainer based on the teachings and writings of the Guy Zhufeng, founder of Life Channian. The focus here is on this brilliant essay of his that treats life as a massive journey. I mean, have you ever felt like you're just lugging around way too much mental weight? Like your own anxiety is basically gluing your feet to the floor? Well, Zhufeng's philosophy actually tackles this head on. He argues that our obsession with over-preparing might literally be the exact thing blocking us from living a profound life. We're going to break down what he means when he says that if you've got too many worries, you just can't travel very far.
Here's how we're breaking it down today. First, life's longest journey. Second, the burden of worries. Third, shedding invisible luggage. Fourth, the power of one step. And finally, the danger of waiting.
Starting off with Section 1, Life's Longest Journey.
Okay, so according to Zhefeng, life isn't just a static thing, right? It's a whole spectrum of experience. He points out that lower life forms, like earthworms, they have a very simple baseline experience. But higher level life, like a god, gets to have this incredibly rich, profound existence. The logic is actually super straightforward. If you want to experience more of what existence has to offer, you've got to travel far. The further you go, the richer it gets.
And just to give you a sense of scale, Zhuifeng outlines what he calls the longest journey in human history for Chenyan celestials. It kicks off right here in the human world. Then, the spiritual path ascends to the 1,000-year world, pushes even further up to the 10,000-year world, and finally lands at the ultimate destination, the Celestial Islands continent. It's a hugely ambitious roadmap, but as the source text makes very clear, if you attempt a journey of this magnitude carrying a giant sack of worries, there is absolutely no way you're reaching that destination.
Moving right along to Section 2, the burden of worries.
So look, it's human nature to try and plan everything out to ease our anxiety, right? But Xu Feng points out a real paradox with over-preparing. Think about historical experience. No matter how much past data you've hoarded, it literally cannot solve today's real-time, completely unique problems. And it's the exact same deal with rational analysis. You could have a genius-level IQ, but logic still can't predict the totally random curveballs tomorrow's going to throw at you. The future is, by definition, unpredictable. So relying entirely on the past and pure logic to protect yourself on a massive journey, it's just a flawed strategy.
Which brings us to the big question. If logic and past experience aren't enough to actually get us moving, what is? Well, Zhufeng boils it down to two absolute non-negotiables, courage and faith. Think about it. Without courage, you're not even going to dare to open your front door. You'll just stay home, and that grand journey remains nothing but a daydream. But once you do finally step outside, it's faith, not your color-coded itinerary, that actually empowers you to push through the inevitable road bumps.
That brings us to Section 3, Shedding Invisible Luggage.
Imagine you're packing for a massive hike. You know better than to pack an iron and a microwave, right? If you try to physically pack for every single hypothetical disaster, you'd be totally exhausted before you even hit the 1-mile mark. Tangible luggage slows you down. But Zhafeng really shines a light on something way heavier, invisible luggage. We're talking about your mental concerns, the chronic overthinking, all those what-ifs. This invisible weight is literally just as paralyzing as trying to hike with a 100-pound backpack. Actually, Xu Feng shares this brilliant, totally relatable story about this. He invited a friend to come open a restaurant with him in Harare, Zimbabwe. Now, instead of getting excited, his friend instantly starts unpacking all this invisible luggage. The hypotheticals just started spiraling out of control. He's asking, what if I get seriously ill? What if the business totally tanks? What if my parents get sick back home? What if the government changes its policies? And then, the absolute kicker. What if my wife can't stand being lonely in China and runs away with some other guy? I mean, the anxiety spiral is almost comical, right?
And Xu Feng's reaction is just perfect. He completely refuses to entertain that kind of paralysis. His response to this massive, escalating list of doom? Just a blunt, uncompromising, I said forget it. And he's spot on. If your head is weighed down with that much invisible luggage, you are not in the right headspace to travel down the block, let alone embark on a massive, life-changing adventure. The weight literally stopped the journey before it even started.
Okay, Section 4, the power of one step.
So, think back to a time when your own obsessive planning made you totally freeze up. To snap us out of that, Xu Feng offers a really practical mechanical fix to get your momentum back. Step 1 is super easy. Determine your direction and your destination. You've got to know where you're aiming. But step 2 is where the magic happens. Just take the first step.
Seriously, that's it. You don't even attempt step 2, 3, or 4 until your foot has physically landed after step 1.
The biggest takeaway here, you have got to ignore the nth step. You absolutely must put blinders on. Shufeng insists, do not sit around stressing over the hurdles of step 3 or 4. And definitely don't panic about the totally unknown nth step, when you haven't even taken step 1 yet. You deal with the roadblocks when they actually show up on the road, not while you're safely stagnating on your living room couch.
Let's look at section 5, the danger of waiting. Here is where Xu Feng delivers a pretty stark warning about the trap of perfect preparation. Let's say your strategy is to wait until absolutely everything is ready. You want every variable controlled, every single piece of invisible luggage neatly sorted. Well, what actually happens? Your youth slips away, your temples turn gray, your teeth fall out, your posture gets stooped. By waiting to be 100% perfectly prepared, all you've really done is wait for old age to take over your body.
The philosophy here takes no prisoners. If you try to take care of everything up front and absolutely refuse to leave a single worry behind, you are guaranteeing exactly one outcome. You're going to stay exactly where you are. You will never see that distant scenery, and you will definitely never reach that ultimate destination, that profound, higher level of life we talked about at the start of this explainer.
I want to wrap up this explainer by leaving you with this really powerful, provocative question taken straight from Xu Feng's writings. If you wait until you have zero worries to finally begin your journey, when you are not far from the grave, will you still have the courage to start? It's a pretty heavy thought to sit with today. Ask yourself, what invisible luggage are you dragging around right now that's keeping you from taking your very first step? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this one, guys. I really hope it inspires you to drop those heavy bags and finally get moving.